Good evening and welcome to Political Forum for Wednesday, October 12th. My name is Eileen Kim and I'm a board member here at CAN TV, and our guest tonight is Alderman Willie Cochran of the 20th Ward. Thank you, Alderman, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Political Forum is a public service of CAN TV and your opportunity to interact with our elected officials. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns for the Alderman, please give us a call on the number at the bottom of your screen, 312-738-1060. So, Alderman, would you like to start off by introducing yourself and your ward to the viewers who may not be familiar with you in the communities?
My ward is the 20th Ward, and it covers the communities of New City, Back of the Yards, Inglewood, Washington Park, Woodlawn, Park Manor. And then we go from Stony Island on the east to Wood on the west. And it is a very diverse ward that has all kinds of assets in it, as well as challenges. And we have been doing some great things to overcome those challenges and turn things around in all of the communities that I serve.
We were talking a bit about all the amazing things that are happening in your ward. Do you want to talk a bit about, I love the fact that there's a Whole Foods that just opened.
Yes, that Whole Foods just opened up at 63rd and Halsted. And I was in there today, matter of fact. It's important that we get people in to spend money in that that store that we've asked to be put in our community. And so that also calls for me and my colleagues to make sure that we build more rooftops, to bring more people into the community so that we can bring the economic base that is necessary. Kennedy King, of course, it speaks for itself. It's a great school for culinary learning. It's a great school for automotive learning. It's a great school for body and fender work. It's a great school to get affordable education. And we leave there and we look at another group, Teamwork Inglewood, that has been in the community for a long time. And it's a community development corporation, and Greater Inglewood CDC has been doing outstanding work in their space right at 715 West 63rd Street. I would ask you, stop up, go and see what is taking place. We've been able to put incubators, accelerators for people in business and independent people on, and we've been able to put the grocery store in place. We have been able to put a secondary education in school, a school in Inglewood that can support children who are still in high school. Matter of fact, if you are in high school, some children who have the appropriate GPA can come out of high school with college credits if they enroll in some of the college credits that the city colleges have to offer. And you can start doing that as a junior and senior. And when you start talking about the cost of college these days, and you can come out of high school with almost a year of credits, it makes the difference in the way it costs and your education. In other things in Inglewood, St. Bernard's Hospital just built an ambulatory center that is focused on women's health, has some of the best equipment that there is, and I would advise you to go by. We have a health center on community health that provides free health care for those who don't have coverage, and that free health care includes the doctor's visit. It includes the prescription. It includes dental care. It includes vision care. And we also have one of the first pediatric mental health facilities and services that there is in this state directed toward our babies. Our babies and our children who go through all kind of traumatic incidents and never get any kind of services. We found, and I've advocated for that kind of service to be provided. And fortunately, through the Illinois Children's Foundation, we were able to get a grant to support our efforts to give children the kind of counseling and support systems to reduce the trauma that they face on a regular basis, so that we can balance their lives the best that we possibly can. Washington Park, we're going to be doing a great project at Garfield Boulevard between King Drive and Calumet, the Green Line station. We were fortunate enough to get a Tiger grant. That Tiger grant, $30 million, is going to be matched, and it is going to be great changes that are going to be taking place at that site. And then we go over into the Woodlawn community, where the University of Chicago is building a brand new school now on Woodlawn Charter. That is already there. They've been there for 7 years, and now we're building a brand new state-of-the-art building so that we can attract and add more students to the quality education that's already being provided. And then the Obama Library. The Obama Library that's going to be on Stony Island, sitting in Jackson Park, that is right next to Woodlawn. It is going to have such an impact on the corridor of 63rd Street, 60th Street, 67th Street, the east side, all the way over. And the great thing about it is that all of the people who are involved in that program know how important it is to lift Woodlawn, Washington Park, and Inglewood up all at the same time, Bronzeville, Hyde Park, as a result of this major investment that is going to be taking place. It's going to take about 5 years to come to fruition, but it is a project that we are looking forward to having, and the improvements and the protections that we know that we can put in place to ensure that we have economic balance in our community.
Got it. Speaking of the Obama Library, you said that there have been people within the community who've been for and against the new development. Can you talk a bit about some of the issues that they've expressed on both sides?
Well, some of the issues that they've expressed always is displacement. We want to make sure that people are not displaced. And so I think over the years, I know because I've been involved with it, we've been making efforts to build quality housing that is affordable. I'll say that again, quality housing that is affordable, that can be supported by government assistance, but also can support those people who are earning at a certain level that would rather own and should own rather than paying rent when they can build an asset. We have what is called a micro market program. That micro market program is available in Auburn Gresham, it is available in Inglewood, and it's available in West Woodlawn. We want to take the boards out of those boarded up homes. We want to let you go out and choose a home, have it rehabbed, and after it's rehabbed, give you financing and make you a homeowner to stabilize the blocks. When we start talking about Whole Foods, and we start talking about Jules, and we start talking about Mariano's and others, and bringing shopping centers in, it's extremely important as we see stores closing all over the country to bring the rooftops in, to bring the economic support and put it in place. And that is how we can do that with programs like that the city funds, the federal government funds, the state funds, so that people can get into these homes at an affordable rate. Neighborhood Housing Services is a partner of ours. Community Investment Corporation is a partner of ours in that effort to turn our communities around. And so I am very happy to say that even though the library is coming, we have programs in place so that people will be able to buy homes, stay in their homes, rent where they are at, whether it be a senior citizen or whether it be a person who is in a project-based housing location, or whether it be a person who has voucher. But we also know the necessity to build $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 homes so that property values of homeowners can be stabilized, and we can bring the economic base that we need to support the whole picture of community balance.
Great. As a reminder to our viewers, you're watching Political Forum with Alderman Willie Cochran of the 20th Ward. If you have any questions or comments for the Alderman, please give us a call at 312-738-1060. So Alderman, budget period starts next Monday. I'm sure you'll be very busy going into that starting next week.
Yeah, the budget period, it lasts about 5 weeks. And through that budget period, it takes you away from your neighborhood office and keeps you downtown all the time. And you're going through one department after another, making presentations, looking at the numbers, asking the questions, on getting the explanations, and making some decisions whenever you can to save money or implement projects or ask why those projects are not implemented that you feel that are important. It's a time where you can advocate for your community. It's a time for you can advocate for yourself. It's a time for you to advocate for the city of Chicago and bring issues out that we might be able to get support for from the state and federal government, and encourage people to call on their leadership. We've been fortunate enough to put a group together of local elected officials, county, city, state, federal government that meets on a regular basis, talk about issues that are important, bounce things off of one another, and find out and have discussions on how, in fact, we can utilize one another for the needs that we all have in our communities.
And it looks like we have a caller on the line. Caller, what's your question for the alderman?
Hi, my question is, I know that Alderman Cochran was a former police officer, so I'd like to know what specific ideas he might have for improving the relationship between the police officers and the community.
Good question.
Well, thank you for that question. It was a good question, and it is a top of the list question and issue that we have had for some years now. I'm not just going to say since these bad things have happened recently. It is a question and an issue that we've had for years. And had they been addressed years ago, we would not be having the things that we are having take place today. And community relations with the police, the first thing I want to say is that we need to get a balanced police department that is culturally mixed. We need to have more officers that represent communities that they serve and the communities in which they live in. I think that incentives should be put in place for police officers to be able to buy homes in communities and live in those communities in which they serve. And I think, and I say that because that was one of the things that I did. I bought a home early on in my police career. I lived in that home. I raised my family in that home. My kids went to school in the neighborhoods where I worked at, and was a block club leader, local school council person, sat on the board of community development corporations. And so all I say that, and eventually I became the alderman, became a supervisor on the police department, opened a business there. Those kind of things build relationships with people. It builds trust, because when you are in the environment in which you live, you have to treat people in a decent way. If your children are going to school in a location where you live and work, you have to treat people in a respectful way. And I think that education is another key to this whole issue. When we talk about community relations, we have to give police officers training, because even though we want to pick people that are from our community, we also have to have cultural diversity. And because we have cultural diversity, it means that we have to go and put our shoulders to the grindstone and say we have to put these programs in place through the right training that's necessary, test for that training, retrain on a regular basis, in-service training, and bring people and meet people at the place where they are at. I think those are some of the things that we need to do to improve relationships in our community. Training, cultural diversity, and also be having a connection in the communities in which you serve.
So we have another caller on the line. Caller, what's your question for Alderman Cochran?
Yes, I have a question. You're talking about the budget, and Rahm Emanuel's budget mentioned something about a disposable bag tax. I just want to get your opinion on this, and also, would it affect all stores that you shop at, grocery stores, and even like drug stores, or is it only certain stores? To mom and pop stores, are they included in this? I just want to see like where that tax is going to be affected.
Well, one thing about when city government, sometimes you put ordinances in, and sometimes you amend those ordinances. You find that some work and some don't. As you can recall, there was a tax that was going to be put on plastic bags of a certain millimeter and made up and composed of a certain way. What the stores did to avoid that was to make a thicker bag, as far as I'm concerned, a better bag, so that they would not have to fall under the category of being taxed and charging customers for having the plastic bags. The plastic bags were and still are problematic when it comes down to sewers and other things that are affecting our community. They don't dispose of very well. And so the effort that is in place right now is to put a tax on those plastic bags and make people more responsible or feel like that bag is more valuable to them than to just dispose of it. I am trying to get my hands around the value or the lack of value of something like that. We already have people who or stores that charge a fee for a bag if you want a bag. The question that we will ferret out over the budget is whether those stores that are already charging are also going to have to add that tax to the bag that they are already that we are asking to be added onto. And so are we going to tax as well as charge someone for a bag, or are we going to ask that store not to charge, or how is it going to go? It's a discussion that I and we both will learn about as we move forward in this budget period.
For our viewers who are just tuning in, this is Political Forum with Alderman Willie Cochran of the 20th Ward. If you have any questions for the Alderman, please give us a call at 312-738-1060. So Alderman, I know that you also host a show here on CAN TV on Monday evenings, I believe at 9 o'clock in the evening.
2020 Vision, news and views from the 20th Ward. We have been doing that for about 6 years now, and we take that opportunity to bring people in to discuss various matters. It's just not ward matters. My goal on that show is to bring out relevant issues and bring out topics of discussion that are interesting to people, whether it be on a local incubator and how they're doing the work that they are doing, or whether it be a city college representative to come. Is it someone who is in the building trade industry? Is it someone who is heading the Independent Police Review Authority, or a police commander, or someone from the public library, or whatever the case might be? On 2020 Vision, we want to get information out to people that is relevant and important. On our most recent one, Universal Soul Circus is in town. In Washington Park, and they'll be there all October. We had the opportunity to have them to come and perform some small acts in the Daily Plaza. And my next show will show some of the acrobatics and people from all over the world who are made up and part of that Universal Soul Circus. The Black McDonald's Owners Association sponsors that, and it is one of the best. And I know this is a plug, but it is one of the best shows that as far as the circus is concerned, the proximity that you can ever find and so affordable. And so that's going to be on my next 2020 Vision show, and it has already aired one time. I look forward to you looking at it on the third Monday, and then every first and third Monday after that. Tune in to CAN TV and 9 o'clock whenever you can and take a look at it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Alderman, we have another caller on the line. Caller, what's your question for the Alderman?
Hi, Alderman, I wanted to ask you, representing the Inglewood and Woodlawn areas, do you feel like those neighborhoods have unfairly received a bad reputation or bad press for violence or other problems in the city? And if you do or if you don't, what do you think contributes to that idea that these are bad Chicago neighborhoods?
Well, anytime you have violence and repeated violence, your neighborhood is going to be looked at as a neighborhood that is bad, as you quoted. There are different parts of the neighborhoods in Inglewood. There's different parts of the neighborhood in Woodlawn. There are different parts of the neighborhood in Washington Park that don't suffer or experience the same kind of violence or disruptions that other parts do. I think our goal should be to invest, extract the bad guy, invest in the communities, and work as hard as we possibly can in those communities so that those communities, when you mention their name, will be a community that people will have a good feeling about. And yes, it's unfair that they have been given bad reputations, but those bad reputations from violence come from a lot more than just what is happening today. It is a result of many things that have taken place over the decades that have gotten us into a place where people have dysfunctional behavior. And that dysfunctional behavior sometimes, and they carry it out, they don't realize. And then when they do realize that they've done some things that is going to keep them in jail for life, or they've taken somebody else's life or maimed somebody, they're sorry about it. And if they could do it all over again, they wouldn't put that gun in their hands. They wouldn't commit domestic violence. They wouldn't do many things, but it's up to us to instill those things through early childhood development, nurturing our children, nurturing our families, having good quality neighborhood services that can support us. And when we do find someone that is not following the norms of the community or society, that won't conform, then we don't have any other choice but to protect the rest of the society and do something with that person.
We have another caller on the line. Caller, what's your question for the Alderman?
Good evening, Alderman. Thanks for taking my call. My question is kind of a comment, really, on this continual taxation. This taxation that the city is really oppressing its citizens with. It really is statewide, but in the city it's even greater. If we're going to start taxing our plastic bags now, don't you think that's going to create even more of a burden on the already overtaxed citizenry of the city? And on top of that, if you consider that every grocery store out there today already enjoys free labor in the guise of self-checkout, we really have to bag and check out our own groceries. I mean, I think the taxation needs to be replaced, not on the bags, but on the grocery stores themselves that are enjoying the free labor through those self-checkout systems. And I'll get off the phone, let you answer that comment on the air. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Well, taxation is something that I and many other people don't like at all. I want to find another way to generate revenue so that we get away from putting taxes on our people, on whether it be in a grocery store or whether it be in a public venue. I think taxation has gotten to be a point of burdensome, a burden on people that, whether it be through real estate taxes or whether it be through garbage taxes, on something that is wearing us out. And so how we redirect that, I go back to something I talked about earlier. Let's put these homes back on the market. Let's make those homes generate the taxes that we need. We have over 50,000 homes in Chicago that are boarded up. If we put 20,000 of them back on the market, you know what that would mean if each one of them had $4,000 in taxes put on them on a yearly basis? It would help us tremendously. How can we save money? How can we, let's keep looking at ways to save money, but we also have to look at ways to ensure that people continue to work to feed resources into the pension funds that we need to have in place, and to provide the kind of resources that we need to give quality childhood education and high school and college education. I am not a big fan of taxation, and so this is a subject that we could talk about a long time, but you have a point there, so sir, it needs to be looked at, and I want to thank you for making that call.
Thank you, Alderman, for that great answer. And thank you to our viewers for joining us tonight. That's all the time we have. Political Forum is brought to you as a public service of CAN TV. We hope that you'll join us again for next week's Political Forum on next Wednesday. Thank you so much.